Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. I do greatly appreciate it. This week is going to be kind of unique. You know, normally every week I bring you a brand new first run show. This week I fell a little bit behind. That's my bad with the podcast. I didn't have a brand new one. However, one time only, I'm going to bring you guys a classic interview I did. This is, because my old radio show, The Shoot, that I did from 2007 to 2015, used to be all wrestling interviews, and that was not the case. This is one of the first interviews I ever did that was non-wrestling, and I interviewed Saturday Night Live's own Joe Piscopo. This guy was awesome. I enjoyed talking to him. We talked about hanging out with Eddie Murphy, talking about all the great Saturday Night Live folks from the late 70s, early 80s. We talked about one of my favorite movies, Sidekicks, with Chuck Norris and Jonathan Brandis, Dead Heat. We covered it all with Joe. So, I try to bring you guys first run interviews, but this one time only, as far as I'm concerned, it'll be the only time only. I wanted to repurpose this interview and give it to a whole new audience just because, when we do interviews here on this podcast, it's usually not, celebrities. It's everyday people like me, like you, and which I think is amazing. But I did used to interview celebrities, and this was one that really always stuck out to me. It was so much fun. And again, I'm sorry. I know I normally bring you guys a brand new podcast every week, but this week I slipped. So I'm going to make it up to you with this interview from Joe Piscopo, March the 7th, 2013. I hope you guys love it. And check it out. Let me know what you think. Roll the tape.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Good. Well, I was at the lawyer's dealing with the ex. So nothing's changed, so I'm doing good.
What's that all about, Joe?
I have a penchant for meeting younger women, and then, everything's great, and then they all want children, they want all my money, and then they leave me, Gary. So, it's like nothing changes. It's all good. It's all good. What am I going to do, complain about it? So the good news is I have beautiful children, and I'm a dedicated father, but, boy, I'll tell you, one day, I need Mrs. Doubtfire. I think that's what I really need in my life.
Mrs. Doubtfire. Oh, man. Hey, look, as long as you got your kids, man, that's all you need, man.
You know what's so exactly right? People are like, people know the history. I ran off with the babysitter, and she was great. We did about 20 years together, so that was great.
Right.
And I don't mean to make that sound like it was a prison sentence, but it was actually, I did 20 years, but we actually have beautiful children, and that's really, really what worked out. I say, Gary, I take care of the kids Sunday through Wednesday. I have my children by myself. I do the lunches. I do the snacks. I'm a very dedicated father like that,
Right.
And but one of these days, my dear friend, I'm going to find a woman that actually wants to hang around and help,
Yeah.
Geez, that I can't get that down. I can't figure that one out. Yeah.
Oh, well, I hope it gets better. I think it will, Joe. You seem like a cool guy. I don't think you'll have a problem with that,
Yeah, well, it's all good, and we're on the road. We always invite folks to come and check us out on the road wherever we are. We travel across North America because if you check out, at Jersey Joe Piscopo on Twitter or on Facebook, you'll see where we are. And, it's a blast to go out doing this whole music comedy show now. So it's a lot. I'm in Wisconsin this year, go to Denver. We will invite everybody in the Midwest to go to Denver out to the Reserve, this great casino. And then Lonnie's Clock Tower Cabaret playing out there as well in April. So it's all good, and I have a blast doing it, And then, honestly, Gary, when I'm not on the road, banging it out, having a blast with the audience, I'm home, and I just had the kids in the house now, and I'm like dork dad, man. I'm like dork dad. So it's a lot of fun, I must say.
It's what keeps you happy. It's what keeps you going, and that's really all that matters. Let me ask you this: do you ever make it to Washington D.C.? That's where we're based out of.
Oh, I got to get down, man, because people forget how great a place Washington is with all the, it's like I got to get my kids down there, man. So I haven't been down in a while, but I'm planning on going down because I want to show them all the, all the stuff that you see, and that is of our great country. So it's nice. That must be nice to live down there. You can just take your kids right to the Smithsonian, real quick.
Well, yeah, traffic's a real bitch, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty nice,
Yeah, and the politicians. That's another thing, man. Washington and the politicians, you can't make this material up. I mean, they got the sequester, the fiscal cliff, they got everything going on. And man, they can't, it's like its own little world, its own little bubble. And these guys run the world. And this is my theory. Can I tell you my theory in
Absolutely.
politics? I don't think we need representation anymore. I think that there's so much, I see you on Twitter all the time. It's great. You communicate, and immediately we communicate.
Yeah.
Just do everything online, man. Just, you put the bill out. We'll vote online. Do we have to pay all these people to go down there and just to futz around, go to these fancy restaurants, spend all our money, go on their private jets, get their pension and welfare, get the salaries that we could never make? You know what I mean? I think it's time we just did a little libertarian turn on everything and just kind of did everything, by computer. I think it's easier that way.
Twitter's really amazing, isn't it, Joe? I mean, when back in your heyday when you're doing things like SNL and stuff like that, obviously these things weren't around, but, as you started to find out about, social networking, Facebook, Twitter, before that MySpace, what do you make of all that? What's Joe Piscopo think about social media?
Yeah, it's interesting. Back in my day, we had like quill pens, I think, is what it was. And you'd bark on the trees, It's like, man, it was like, I remember having a typewriter in my office at Saturday Night Live. Imagine that, a typewriter, man. And I remember the tapes. They had those 3/4-inch monsters, Gary. You have to lift them in. And I used to have to, if I was doing an impression for the week, I used to have to study that person and whoever it was, and I'd have to get tapes from, for example, if you do it, I remember I did Dan Rather, the newsman. I said, how the heck am I going to do Dan Rather? But you had to call CBS News. CBS News ran a runner from CBS to NBC, and you got a footage of Dan Rather, and you would put these big 3/4-inch tapes into this clunky machine, and just stopping it took like 3 minutes. You know what I mean? For it to find down,
Yeah.
So now, I'm in the middle of if I'm in the middle of an interview, if I'm in the middle of a radio, thing like we're doing, you could Google something so quick. I am a tech freak. I am like a junkie on this stuff. So Twitter, I'm just getting into Twitter now. So everybody listen. You want to hit me at Jersey Joe Piscopo, is it JRZY Joe Piscopo, on Twitter. I'll get back to you. I like and you do the same thing, and you're one of the few cats that do it. You answer the folks directly.
Yes.
That's great. That's great when you do that,
Yeah.
So people are something you can answer them right back. So that's a real joy.
Yeah, I love the instant contact. It's kind of like how we met, right through Twitter.
That's right.
Yeah, it was right through Twitter. I said, "Hey, Joe, man, we got to get you on the show." Right away. Boom. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make something happen. And that's the great thing about Twitter. That's helped my radio show grow is through social media like Twitter. I mean, I can't imagine if I was doing something like this 25, 30 years ago, how much more harder it would be. And, traditional FM, radio guys would say, "Oh, these internet guys, what the fuck do they know?" But, it's hard, man. You've got to really try to you still work hard because you got to go on the social media. You got to try to build a name. You got to try to grow a following. And it's really not as easy as it looks,
Yeah, no, it's very true. And nowadays, even in entertainment, where the whole ball game has totally changed. So in my day, like if you want to do a film or something like that, you got to go shop at the Hollywood. You got to go producer to producer. now you can create, and I think Will Ferrell demonstrated that so brilliantly. It's Funny or Die. You could go online and you could do anything, and now on Twitter too. So you got sometimes you could even do a show from the shows go. The Hollywood looks at what's online and what's on Twitter or even on Facebook, and then they turn it into television. Interesting how that happens, man. That's a whole change of and now you could raise money. Kickstarter. You can go Kickstarter online and get money for your films. The whole landscape is so dramatically different, but it's all for the better. I think. It's more immediate, and I just love it because it's just so quick.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, this show, we sometimes we talk about like wrestling and stuff like that, and a wrestler by the name of Scott Hall recently put up one of these campaigns, not Kickstarter, but it was Indiegogo, and Diamond Dallas Page, a big yoga guy, put this thing up and said, "Hey, man, let's help out this wrestler." Joe, they've raised over $60,000 in 3 days with 25 days left to go. It's incredible.
I'm going to remember this. I got to do it because I have a crazy idea. It's not a conventional idea, and that's the beauty of this. Maybe, and then my son and I are talking about it. My son's like an actor director, so we should do it. It's so interesting to do it that way.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to put up with the BS of the corporate structure of this country now. It's so frustrating on all walks. And entertainment's the same way, man. Everybody's afraid to make a decision. It's not like the old days where you get somebody who's a bit of a rogue and goes for it like that, Right. So it's great that we could do it ourselves just through social media.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, you talk about the old days. What's your take on, the current state of like comics and stuff like that, versus the old days when you were really going hard with it?
Well, I was talking to somebody about today. I'm kind of a retro guy. When I go on the road, and again, we invite everybody to come to Denver at the end of April, in Wisconsin, the Ho-Chunk Casino in Wisconsin. Thank God for our Native Americans, Gary. That's all I got to say. But
absolutely.
I think, so I love the tribes all around North America, and we have fun playing at all those casinos. But I keep it pretty clean, man. I walk the edge. But I don't, the F-bomb isn't a punchline to me, It's just not like that. I'm old-fashioned. And so I like somebody who's creative and who, like the way Stephen Colbert is. That, to me, is the smartest guy on television, aside from Dave Letterman, These guys, he's so, it's clean, it's bright, it's smart. And what I see, and it started pretty much when I started out, They saw Pryor, as brilliant as he was, and Eddie, as brilliant as he is, they think they gotta just make it filthy, and that's not funny, man. You gotta make it creative in there somewhere. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm old-fashioned. Hey, I was old-fashioned 20 years ago when I said to Eddie Murphy, we're at the Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles, 6,000 people, and Eddie's just coming on strong, man. And what a thrill for me to be next to this young, talented comic genius in Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
And it does his show. And he, of course, sold out, and he's killing. But it's every nasty word you possibly could imagine. Eddie's act. So I'm going like, oh man. So backstage is he and I, me and Eddie. Loved him like a brother always. Still have immense respect and affection for this man. And he's at the piano, tinkling at the piano. I'm sitting off to the side of the piano. And I said, Eddie, Dad, why do you have to get so dirty? You're one of the most brilliant cats I've ever met in my life. I said, you don't need that. Why do you get so dirty? He just looks up and he goes, because they're laughing. And I really didn't have an answer for that,
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer. So I guess there's a place for it, but my particular taste is, and it always has been, just to keep it smart, keep it clean, keep it like Colbert, which is really bright. But to Eddie's point, I don't know that there was ever anybody funnier than Eddie. So my argument really doesn't hold up,
Sure. Did you ever, was there ever parts of his act that you enjoyed, or was it just so dirty for you that you couldn't really enjoy it?
So, me and Murphy, we would get on the phone. I remember he was shooting a film in Israel. So he gets on the phone, and we're talking on the phone, and we start doing The Honeymooners. The Honeymooners, to your younger audience, you got to Google The Honeymooners, one of the great half-hour comedies ever. The shows were made before I was even born. So it was like, but Jackie Gleason and Art Carney, this was a great half hour. So Eddie and I started to do, we just had fun. We started doing the gay honeymooners, just for what happened, and of course, and then before Eddie put it on stage, man, it was like supposed to be just a conversation, a respectful conversation, not a derogatory or a sexist conversation, just a cute little conversation, and Eddie would do it on stage, so that was always fun to see how he would come up with the material at that time, It was always interesting. You never know what would come out of his mouth at any given time,
Yeah, definitely. When's the last time you've spoken or seen Eddie?
Oh, it's a good question, man. It's a good question. It has to be like, more than a few years. I just haven't seen him. We haven't crossed paths because usually we cross paths. I'll see Danny Aykroyd, who to me, Dan Aykroyd. And again, if this is one of the greats of Saturday Night Live. To me, he was the commander of the Starship SNL. Man, he's the guy, and he's the guy we all look up to. So I see Danny around. I see Father Guido Sarducci, who should have been the new pope. Guido Sarducci should have been the new pope. I said so. I see those guys, or I'll see other guys, Kevin Nealon or somebody from the show like that, and sometimes work with them. But I haven't seen Ed, and I haven't heard people. I haven't seen him, but I would love to just catch up. That's a I don't know. That sounds like a premise to a film. Searching for Eddie. There's my next movie, right? And we'll raise some money on Kickstarter. There it is, Gary. We got it.
Boom! It's lock it in. Let's do it. Lock it in. I'll help you. I'll help you plug it. And we'll be boom, ready to go.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. Now, where are you from originally, Gary? I should know this. I'm sorry, I should ask, but where are you from originally?
I am absolutely from the DC area. I had a few brief stints in San Diego, California. My father was in the Navy, so we moved back and forth, but primarily Washington.
Oh, that's great. Did your father see action in the Navy?
He was in the first Gulf War, so I didn't get to see him a whole lot. Yeah, him and Mom got divorced in like 87, 88. So most of my younger life I didn't get to see him. I mean, he and I, we don't really tend to talk a whole lot. No bad blood. We did at one point have some bad blood, but we've made up from that now. But dude, I've got such a weird relationship with him, and I wish it was better, but he's kind of stubborn about calling me, and then I'm like, well, shit, I'm not gonna make the one way, the whole one way thing. So it's kind of like trying to figure out who's gonna give first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, you go through that, and in a divorce situation, it's always impossible because it's always who's working who against what, so you're not sure what's going on. I have a child. I worry about my children because I'm the worst example. I'm the best father. I put myself up against any dad in the world, man. I'm the best father in the world. Yeah. But when you go out, when my big boy Joey, the star that he is, and then I'm with him, and then his mom don't work. Then I run off with the babysitter. I'm glad he's, what is he thinking? And that's why. So to your point, I'm glad he and I make sure I always pick up the phone. Are you all right? And I at times I have said, I don't mean to make this a heavier conversation.
No, that's fine.
But with my boy, I said, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I messed up like that with your mom, and then with the babysitter. And then I have a 2-year-old. Gary, I got a 2-year-old from a girl who was I know. Shoot me now. Okay?
You're getting after it, Joe. You're just straight ass getting after it, aren't you?
I go from one right to the other, man. I go from one right to the other, brother.
You got it like that.
See me coming. They see Uncle Joe coming. Hey, look at this guy. Okay. Let me just. I said at my funeral, I'm gonna be face down with my wallet sticking out of my ass, saying, "Help yourself. Everyone else has." I'm just like, and then I gotta have kids. I'm gonna have like strange kids show up because in New Jersey, I got children at like every exit at this point. So it's like. So I'm going to have, people are going to show up. Hey, who are you at my funeral? I'm exit 114. Exit 114, the cocktail waitress? Yeah, I'm exit 12, the flight attendant.
What is your limit, Joe? Do you cut it off at 21, 25, 30? What's your limit, bro? I don't know.
What?
With women's age, what's going on here?
Yeah, now you're talking. No. Listen, I swear to God. Matter of fact, my girlfriend was supposed to be here now, but she has an algebra test in the morning. So anyway, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing my act on your show. You know what? I could probably speak more frankly to you, than I would conventionally. But although I think people know, I just have a weakness for. Maybe a little younger, So yeah. I think with older women, as beautiful they are, and every woman's got a a beautiful quality about them, Gary. But I think with older women, and they're smart and they're lovely, and I've met some spectacular older women, but I think I see in them things I don't like in myself, as you age, So, when you're with a younger chick, it's just more immediate. It's quicker. My head is more into, that whole generation so I mean, at my age, man, I'm like with 20-somethings, and it's like, whoa, what's wrong with me? I gotta raise the bracket, at least go to 35 or something,
Damn, and
Jesus.
I thought I was bad, Joe. I'm dating a 22-year-old, and I'm 30, bro.
No!
Seriously.
Oh, no, baby, that's great. That is healthy and perfect.
But you know what? She's good to me, man. Yeah. She's good to me. She does not act that young. She's much more mature for her age. She's excellent.
Yeah, good point. No, you raise a fantastic point. You know what? They have to be old souls. When I can't be with, like, sometimes I'll see a chick and I go, oh my God, I'm like a father to the child, and they're young, but I have to get someone who's old in spirit, and you can see it in their eyes, who's an old soul, who's experienced, and it's nice if you find a woman, especially a young woman that's good to you, man. You got to hold on to that, man, because I mean, honestly, I feel so at this point in my life, I'm going to court next week. I feel used and abused, man, just used and abused, because they see me coming, they see it coming, and I don't know why, and I'm just an easygoing guy. Everything's good, man. Let's just chill out. But they just go for the juggler nowadays. So if you find a nice young gal that really cares about you, that takes care of you, Gary, if someone came to my door, knocked on my door, and said, a young woman in a romantic type relationship said, Joe, what can I do to help you? I would die of a massive coronary on the spot. I really would. I said, Jesus.
We can't lose you now, Joe.
What happened to Piscopo? I don't know. Some broad. I wanted to help him, and he died. I don't know what happened.
You gotta start walking up to these broads and just, say, hi, I'm Joe Piscopo. Pull out your wallet,
You know what? The point is, you're absolutely right. I got to get a rich, older chick. That's what I got to get. Somebody who could keep daddy, But listen, I got to tell you something. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's all good. It's exciting. It's fun, and I think. I don't know. And again, we could probably get into it more here than if, I was doing a 5-minute shot to promote a date or, an appearance or something like that. But yeah. I think you have to really, I think if you just got to appreciate, I'm afraid to settle down, I think. Because once I see guys my age, they settle down, they get old, man. They get old at like 40 years old, they get old. I never want to do that. I like the immediacy of it. I don't know, I'm thinking this weekend is this one. I said, well, maybe I'll go see this just to keep it fresh, it just keeps you going, not to lose sight. First and foremost are your children.
Yeah.
That is your biggest. Matter of fact, I've been, and again, we could talk on the here. I remember when I first got divorced, from the babysitter, and but we're together 20 years. I had kids, and then I had an appointment to pick up my daughter. I had to go get my daughter the next day at school, and I was with the hottest chick, because this is like the first woman after the divorce, and I went, wow, I just lucked into it. I met this hot chick. I mean, she was like a Michelangelo statue, man. She was gorgeous. I thought, what is she doing with me, man? And there she was. And then, we're there, and we're down Atlantic City, and she goes, oh, Joe, stay, hang, one of those deals. I looked at my watch. I had just enough time to go get my daughter at school. And you know what I said? I said, baby, I got to get my daughter. I walked out of that door, and I set that bar high right at that point, and I ain't never gone back. So no matter how gorgeous or seductive a woman is, it's the kids. There's no compare. Don't even talk about it. Don't even think about it. The kids always come first.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I haven't had the pleasure of having kids yet, but it's definitely, in my game plan. I would love to have, a son or daughter or whatever, whatever may come. But, you're absolutely right. Make sure your kids are taken care of. And once they're taken care of, it's party time, make sure they're good. Then you go out and party. Am I right or am I right?
You got it, brother. You know what? I was so dedicated in marriage. You're so young, but I was married almost all told. All my marriages, like 35 years, man. I've been married a couple of times, that's all. But 35 years, dedicated father, dedicated. I never cheated. I never did any of that stuff, man. But boy, after the second one, and after she goes a little south, you go. It's like, oh baby, let's go. It's like you want to break loose a little bit, Yeah. So hopefully it's healthy. I don't know. I'm going through it now, but maybe I'll talk to you in like a year or two, and then I'll settle down with an older woman, 32, something like that. You know, I don't know.
Hey Joe, I'm rooting for you, man. I'm definitely rooting for you. Let me tell you.
But does your girlfriend have a friend, by the way? I'll come down to Washington, man.
She's got friends. Yeah, come on down, man. We'll hang out. We'll see what's what.
You'll be tweeting. I can't get rid of Piscopo.
All weekend, I'll be sitting there like hanging with Jersey Joe, and I can't get rid of this son of a bitch. I'm so glad that we're getting the chance to do this, and I have to tell you, Joe, because. You know, the way I found you on Twitter, I did not know you had a Twitter. I remember you from movies and SNL and stuff like that, but, I heard you on, Opie and Anthony a couple of months ago. We got to go there, Joe. I got to ask you about it because, they were ripping you apart about your Showtime special, and then they got you on, I think, a couple days later, and they left you hanging. They left you hanging right on the air. What's your thoughts on that? I got to ask you about that.
You know what? I cut my teeth on Howard Stern. I came up on Howard. I was the first guy to go on Howard Stern. Everything after that doesn't really show up on the radar. Because I've been there with Howard, and Howard wrote the book. So, I mean, when we were on SNL, we got a memo saying, hey, there's this new guy came up from Washington. When he was down there with a guy called the Grease Man, and it was Howard. And then Howard made it to New York, and they asked us on the cast, who wants to go on? I thought, go on. And Howard and I became friends ever since. So playing all the Howard stuff. So when Opie and Anthony, this trick is this. When Opie and Anthony have, and I know these guys for 100 years. So they're pretty much as old as I am. Yeah. They have so many years. My attitude is, and I knew when I went on for the first time, they nailed the special. I tweeted Anthony, and then I got a tweet immediately back from the producer saying, come on, you got to come on the show. I want to show. And they have fun with it. And I know exactly what they're doing, and I know the tricks. You know, the fact of the matter is, the special was great rating. That weekend, I sold out Phoenix, Arizona, which was it's business, Gary.
Sure.
I go on, and if Howard's going to make fun of you, if Opie and Anthony make fun of you a little bit, go with it. Did I sell out? I did. I went on the show. I sold out. And now here's the story. Then I had to go to court back then. It's been an ongoing nightmare.
Sure.
And along that time, and I knew they were having fun with it, and it was cute, and it was I know Opie and Anthony is what they do, and I said, fine. You almost kind of sell yourself out a little bit because you want to sell the seats. We sold out. I'm walking off the stage at Phoenix. I said, this is great. Then they printed something in the paper that was wrong. The press went down to the courthouse, and they printed something wrong, and I went, God, now, am I going to defend myself, or am I going to defend myself? Right after they left me, quote-unquote, hanging on the air, I got a tweet from the producers, Joe, we love you, come on, because they know the game. They know I'm playing the game, and I know they're playing the game.
Sure.
Come back on. As soon as I got nailed in the press, I called Opie and Anthony, and I said, I want to come back on. Now, can I come in the studio? That's what I said. Can I come in the studio?
Yeah.
Anytime, Joe, you're always welcome. We love you. And you know what? Those guys gave me a forum that I wouldn't have had anywhere else. And if you heard that next shot, I went out and we did what I feel was some of the best radio that was out there. We just ripped it up. You know, I wasn't angry or bitter. I was just saying the way it was of being a victim of circumstance in a terrible situation. And we had some great radio. So it all turned out great. Yeah. But there's the strength of Opie and Anthony and Jim Norton. They have millions. You forget they have millions of listeners, and they, you know, where I served their purpose, where they could goof on me a little bit, they more than helped me out in a very tough time. So I'm very appreciative to them.
Yeah, that's the thing with radio. You know, you get beat up a little bit, and it's all good. I mean, hell, I had a spot one time where there was a wrestler by the name of the Honky Tonk Man, and I, we kind of staged this thing where, hey, I'm going to get you on the show. I'm going to beat you up a little bit. And there was another radio guy by the name of Bubba the Love Sponge who, I had a contact with on that show and said, hey, they had like this feud. They said, hey, put him on your show, then let us call in and we'll beat him up a little bit. Then the next day on Howard 101, they're playing like 45 minutes of my show where they're beating up this guy. The downloads went through the roof all weekend, Joe. You know, so I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah, I love those guys, Opie and Anthony. But let me ask you about this because, you know, Howard, I don't recall hearing you on there recently. Are you still cool with Howard?
No, I haven't been on recently. I don't. You know what? Gary's great. I don't call and I just don't. I don't. Initiate it. Like with Opie and Anthony, the way it happened was great. I mean, it was just great. I think the way it happened and the electricity happened, and we got some great radio out of it. And I'm a big boy, and I know you're absolutely, like you said, you're absolutely right. Beat me up, man. Let's do it, but help me out when I need it, and that's the real true strength of something like that. And one of these people, when I was just on Howard this past 6 months ago, we did the whole thing was Sirius XM. Howard was taking too much time off, so the fans were getting upset. Howard was around, so they said, "What can we do to placate their valued fans?" And so they brought a bunch of us in from SNL to talk about Howard SNL related stories. So that made great radio,
Oh yeah.
So so they're great over there, and I guess I should go back on. But I don't, because Howard, talk about Howard and talk about radio. Maybe, probably, I've tried the greatest interviewer on radio, aside from yourself, of course, Gary.
Stop it, Joe. Don't bullshit me.
Howard too, man. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, how brilliant is Howard in an interview setting? I mean, how brilliant is this guy? How there's not I don't think a better interviewer. And I'm trying to think of the media. I mean, Dave Letterman, of course, but I mean, who else? And when you go, I know we would go off mic back in the day, and I would say, Howard, you are so good. Why do you go to the toilet? Because he would always go to the toilet humor, and he would always do something stupid. I would say, Howard, he could be on CBS News doing world leaders, And he goes, like Eddie told me, people I'm giving the people what they want, and they do it. But really, really, quite. Amazed at the people forget how talented Howard really is. It's not just an act. He's really a very talented radio personality.
Well, they say that there is rumors. I don't know if you've heard about this, Joe, that he may be taking over for Fallon when Fallon goes to Leno. What's your take on that?
Oh, I love Jimmy. I mean, I remember Jimmy Fallon when we went to one of those SNL reunions, and I always liked Jimmy Fallon. Yeah. And I always loved Dana Carvey. I love so many of the Darrell Hammond. There's so many great guys. After, the people come over and say, Joe, that whole generation, your generation was great, but there's some great Christine Wiig. I mean, there's some great genius people from that show. So with Jimmy, I remember I met him at one of those SNL reunions, and I said, hey, how you doing, Jimmy? So he knew every bit that I had ever done. I mean, when I tell you every bit, every sketch, every bit, every character, he was so entrenched with anything. And I'm sure he did that. He noticed everything about Eddie and everybody else on the show, But he was such a great student of that you knew he was going to be successful. And don't forget, when Jimmy went on the air, when he first went on the air, talk about no mercy. Do you remember that, Gary? When he first went on the air, the show, I loved it immediately because I loved Jimmy. But they started. Am I wrong? They weren't very nice. I mean, the media was not very nice initially, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was
it was like. But then he stuck with it. What I love about the kid, I could call him a kid. He stuck with it, and this guy is just so ready for the Tonight Show, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's ready to go, man. Get him in there. I don't have anything personal against Leno, but I just think his time has passed. That's just my opinion.
Well, I got to say, Jay is such a great guy. Again, I'm a dinosaur, so I've been around forever. And Jay, I know inside out and backwards. And again, I don't call Jay to go on his show either. I'm just happy to be working. I'm out there on the road, and I'm doing grunt work. I'm in the blue collar show business, man. I'm a working stiff entertainer. I'm not like a $10 million movie star or anything. So I don't call these guys, although they'd probably be there for me, I guess, if I ever call. But Jay's always, the one thing about him, well, just a great, classy guy. I always loved Jay, and I saw him this past summer, at a comedy club. We hung out a little bit, and he was great. But Jimmy, you're right. Yeah, it's Jimmy's time. It's Jimmy Fallon's time.
Yeah, it's definitely the time to do it. Let me ask you about this, the Club Piscopo special that you did. Yeah. How did all that come about? Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was fun. We just rolled the camera. They came in. They said, Joe, you want to do a TV special? I went, yeah, sure. And it's for Showtime. I said, great. And they said, you want to do it in L.A.? I said, no, I don't do it in L.A. They said, where do you want to go, Vegas? I said, nah, I don't want to go to Vegas. Where do I go? I said, Atlantic City. And they said, why? And I said, come down, just check it out.
Right.
And they looked They looked at the Art Deco of it. You know, they looked at the whole beauty of the resorts where the club was, and they loved it. And then Hollywood came in, put their touch on it, man. You know, they sent an advanced design team, and they made the place look great. You know, and I would have shot it more gritty. I would have shot it grittier like that. You know, because I like gritty like that. But you know, it's you know what? It was such a big undertaking because we had music, and then we couldn't use any of the music. We had to go to public domain because it was too expensive.
Right.
You know, to use all the Johnny Cash's stuff, to use anything. And you know, the only guy that gave me his permission, God bless him, one of the greatest rock and roll act of all time, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody cavalry holds you up, man. It costs you a fortune. So it was daunting. But you know, it's always fun to do a special like that.
Definitely. You know, Joe, when I got word out, you know, to some of my friends that we were going to be talking today, a guy that I work with, he said, you know what, do me a favor, ask Joe about Dead Heat. What can you tell me? What's your memories about that movie? Tell me.
I got to tell you, man, I can't figure this one out because some films, and I have to be perfectly honest with you, because
sure.
I never BS anybody. It's just not my nature, man. And some films, you know, in this film, Treat Williams and I, we played zombies. Hey, we were like 20 years ahead of our time, okay?
Yeah.
All right? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
We were doing zombies. And in the film, we died and we came back to life. And unfortunately, that's what happened to the movie. It was like it came out. Me and Treat Williams, a great actor, again, you know, in the Nero mode. And Treat and I wanted to work with Vincent Price. So we said, this is good. Vincent Price, zombie. Yeah, this is hysterical. Listen, shot it. Well, you never can control these things. So we shoot it. Now, it doesn't really open. It comes out. Now, I remember the agent calling me. If the film doesn't work, they go, it looks like it's not going to catch. And I go, fine, whatever. But then it goes away. But now it's got this cold following, Gary. It's got this cold following. The people, I don't know if it's a zombie thing or something. And it's like, and I remember going through customs in Japan when I had to do an appearance in Japan. And the customer guy looks at my picture, looks at me, and he goes, "Oh, there's the heat. There's the heat." Like, I was like, actually, the same thing happened. I was going through Mexico or something. I remember coming up through Cancun or something, and the custom guy, and all the customs guys, dead heat. It's like, you never know what's going to work. You just never know what's going to work, man. So Treat and I had fun with it. It was great. You know, I mean, we kind of did it tongue in cheek, and
sure.
It was what. Man, I don't know. It's not like I got a new movie coming out. I got a plug for you guys.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, how sweet it is. Yeah, this is a cute film. This is a film with the great Paul Sorvino. You know, Paul Sorvino's a great actor. You know him from Goodfellas, and he sings opera. Very talented guy and a dear friend. And then with Erica Christensen from Parenthood. So it's a kind of a down and out. I play down and out film director, like a Broadway kind of guy, like a Fosse kind of guy, and we turn it all around. But it's a PG-13. Again, it's a good kind of PG-13. Kids could watch it kind of film, and that comes out in April. But it's most of my stuff's live now. But it was fun to go in front of the camera again because it's a cute little film. I think you'll dig it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I saw the trailer. And I thought it looked pretty good, you know, and I gotta tell you, Joe, while we're talking about the movies, being the interviewer, sometimes you got stuff you want to work in. And I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, the one movie that stuck with me, my first introduction to you, because of course, you know, when you were doing SNL, I was just like 2 or 3 years old. But when I was starting to grow up, Joe, the first thing I saw from you, Sidekicks. We got to talk about it.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're right. Because you were you were what, maybe 9, not even 9 years old or something.
Yes,
like that,
Joe, I love that movie, and I know some people that are buddies of mine. They love it too, and they said, "Oh, if you don't ask Joe Piscopo about Sidekicks, we're going to come looking for you."
Yeah, it's funny. Thanks, man. Because because a lot of guys your age will say that. And working with Chuck Norris was the thrill of thrills. I mean, because you forget, Chuck and we'll make, we always know who's tougher than Chuck Norris. We have that whole mindset, which is true. But the fact is, Chuck indeed was world champion. He was a karate world champion. People forget that world, not with American, not European. He was world champion. He beat everybody, man. He is a tough mother, Chuck Norris. So when they said, Joe, you want to go in? We were in a parody kind of Karate Kid.
Right.
And then Chuck wrote the script, the whole thing. And Aaron Norris was directing, and Bo Bridges was in it, another great actor, so I'm going, geez, I played a tough guy and be a cartoony character, and I get, but the what the selling point was to be in that movie.
Sure.
I could work with Chuck Norris, man.
Of course.
Joe,
who how many people can say they got in that ring, if you will, we'll call it a ring or a stage or whatever, and went one-on-one with Chuck Norris? Right?
Yeah,
Who else can say that?
Exactly right. And I'll tell you exactly. I was working out in the World Gym in Houston where we were shooting a film, tried to stay as pumped again, because I never did steroids. People always thought, you got jacked up, man. We're doing steroids. I'm very much anti-drug.
Sure.
And I don't do steroids, never did steroids. But I knew the tricks through Stallone. I knew us Stallone. I remember I asked Stallone once, man, you are ripped, Sly. How do you get so ripped? He says to me, fish and rice. It was just like, and that was diet, man. That was the diet. So I learned from Stallone how to diet. Then I would say to Arnold, man, I said, Arnold, you are so huge. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. How do I get myself to look good on a movie set? He goes, overhead light. And he was dead serious, like the tricks. And I go, but I got no legs. He goes, right from the side. So I learned all these tricks. So I'm working out in World Gym in Houston, and I get a phone call from the owner saying, Joe, Chuck wants to see you at his hotel suite. So I go, wow, okay, here we go. And I had not met him. So I go, I don't even finish the workout. I just, sweat down, run over, and he's staying at the Holiday Inn there, which I thought was humble. This is good. And he's got a nice suite, but he's not, he's not showing up anybody. He's a everyday man. So I go up to the top suite. He's got, of course, Chuck has the whole entire top floor of the Holiday Inn. And I knock on the door, right? And I hear from the other side. I'm outside waiting to meet the great Chuck Norris. And all I hear is, boom! And I hear a body go down. I go, oh my God, what did I get myself into, man? So the door opens. It was one of his senseis, and I go in, and there was the man Chuck Norris, as gracious. He was studying jiu-jitsu with the Zen world champion jiu-jitsu guy. So he was like, he just wanted to stay on top of things, man. So here he is on his spare time, I guess as a hobby, studying how to throw people around jiu-jitsu style, just to learn another style. And then he took his time, as carefully as he could, as gently as he could, how to hold my foot in a kick, where to stand, where to hold my hands, because he actually invented his style, a combination of Taekwondo, a combination of Bruce Lee, where he uses a boxing style. And he showed me all that. And I was just dying, man. I was just dying with this. Well, here I am with Chuck Norris.
Right.
Up there. And I'm thinking, then I had to study with his senseis. And he stepped away, and we did our ancillary scenes. And it was great. He was fun to talk to and a great guy, very grounded. And Aaron, who directed, was great. But then I had to go, later in the day and work. I worked so hard with these guys, the combinations, because we didn't do our fight scene yet. I had to learn the combinations to the point where I was almost vomiting. I remember I would just push myself to the point of almost vomiting. But getting it down, because I knew how to fight Chuck Norris. So finally we got to the fight scene, and they took over this whole big stage, this whole arena, and we had thousands of people there, and there Chuck Norris and I were. So what you see in that movie, Sidekicks, was very much real. And I remember I up against Chuck, I look him in the eye, and I'm trying to remember what I learned. Still not sure why they drilled me so hard. Right. And Chuck says, hit me hard. Before the action, he said, hit me hard. And he goes, and it was with the back of my left hand to his ear. I said, Chuck, man. I said, you're Chuck Norris. I'm not going to hit you hard. He goes, Joe, hit me as hard as you can. And I go, all right, man, here we go. So on Aaron Norris's action, I backed up in the boxing position, and I took my left hand, and I swear to God, I whipped it as hard as I could. So, nailed Chuck on the left ear, and of course, he doesn't flinch.
Yeah.
Then, at our choreographed fight that we had choreographed together, and I let it happen. This guy, I tell you what, and it was play, and he was pulling his punches, beat the living hell out of me. Beat the living hell out of me. I mean, and I'm proud to tell you on the radio here, I got my ass kicked by Chuck Norris, man. I mean, when I tell you, And all that combination, all that stuff that he taught me and that his senseis taught me and all his instructors was so I wouldn't get killed because I didn't know how to avoid. Chuck could do a reverse flying heel kick. So he leaps in the air, flips around, and his heel is right in your face. Missed me by really a millionth of an inch. I could feel the air and his foot just scrape. Now, if I didn't know what I was doing, if they didn't work me so hard, he could have killed me, literally. He could have killed me. So I was so proud of myself, drenched in sweat, gave Chuck a hug. Thank you, man. What an honor to be in the ring, on the bats with you, Chuck. So I leave, and they go, I swear to God, they go, all right, get Joe's double now. I go, what? I said, what is this? I thought I did pretty damn good. What happened? They bought a guy named Hopper Smith, and Chuck laid into this guy not pulling the punches, like action, boom, ow, I'm watching this going, Jesus, that could have been me up there. He was gentle and kind with me. They dropped this guy. I swear to you, I had to fall on my face.
Right.
And I did it. Use my tape. They dropped a guy really like 5 feet. He fell right up. I mean, I've never seen tougher guys in my life than around Chuck Norris, and certainly Chuck himself. Isn't that funny? I thought I did something good, man. They brought the double guy in, and they brought the pros in, and
sure.
that's a lot of that action that it looks like we really hit. We kind of, you did kind of movie hits on some of those. So I found out later, but it really was. I mean, when he went off on his, his instructors and his 10th degree black belt buddies. And boy, I tell you what, I mean, just really rough and tumble. But it was a great experience.
Oh yeah, I'll remember that movie forever. And I think you only had a couple of scenes with Jonathan Brandis, but as you know, 10 years ago, he took his life. What do you remember working with him very much and what he was like?
What the heck was that, man? It was we hung out, and it was such a nice feel. Chuck does that. Chuck creates a family when you work with him, and of all his people. And so we not only did the movie, and then we went and promoted it. And the reason that movie was so successful, we all went en masse, led by Mr. Norris, and we went city to city to promote it. And they would send Chuck and I out to promote it. And so Jonathan was what a beautiful young kid, Jonathan Brandis. We sat, I remember being back in the limousine, and I was saying, Jonathan, all the girls like you now, man. You're going to be a big star, and make sure you keep your head on straight. And he was great. His parents were with him. Right. So when that happened, they never looked into that, did they? That was kind of weird, huh?
No, I think his friends had said, he was kind of, really depressed at the time that he did it because he felt like his career was definitely on the downfall. He hadn't been getting a lot of work, and, he was kind of telling people, look, man, I'm close to the end here. And I guess they just didn't get to him in time,
Ah, that's stupid, man. That's the rest of his soul. Beautiful kid, and the family was beautiful, but you can't. That's the problem with the businesses, guy. The problem is people go in to be a star. You can't go into the star. I think I've always kept a positive attitude because all I want to do is work.
Sure.
So when I have a chance, and I have a chance early on to work with the greats in comedy clubs like Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, and work with those guys and see their rhythms and, learn from these guys, and then go on to Saturday Night Live and work with Eddie Murphy, man. What a ride. But you got to dig it. You can't, look, oh God, I should be doing this, because it's so true though. You go to Hollywood, how you doing? Yes, the joke is, how you doing? Well, I'm doing this sitcom next week. It's like, it's not about that, man. It's just about digging the process. You got to enjoy the journey, and then I think that guarantees, happiness. I think. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just too stupid. I don't know.
Nah, there's nothing wrong with working hard. Look, the radio thing is not my day job. I've got a regular day job, and I work very hard at it to, try to, have a family here. And the radio is definitely, I would say, a hobby first and foremost. But, with the growth that I'm seeing, I see that, there's a possibility that in the future it could be something more. And, I'm committed to working as hard as I can, like blue collar, like you say, blue collar, working hard, just trying to get it out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Then that's why you're doing great, buddy. That's why you're doing great, because you know what? It's like, I mean, I look around. I got no trainer. I got no chef. What do I got? I don't have a valet. I carry my stuff, man. I put it in my truck. I go do my gig. I bang it out. I sweat on stage, and I dig it. You just dig it, and it's not like you don't look around going, well, I should be doing this, because that's ridiculous. You got to just dig what you are doing. Just get into the moment, and that's. I think a lot of people miss that, and it's easy for me to say because maybe when I was younger, I might have been a little more hungrier. But I remember always just wanting to work. I remember even as starting out, doing commercials of all things in New York City, coming off the comedy club. That I was so happy just doing that, just doing some commercials and just doing some character bits, and just happy to be doing that. So as long as you enjoy what you're doing, you're good.
Yeah, well, I think, there's something to what you were saying. I think in this day and age, a lot of people are, just looking for, instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the thing. Everybody wants to get right to the top without working hard. And that's the big problem today.
And there's no real I don't see talent. I don't say that in a derogatory fashion.
Sure.
But I don't see, it's like people on TV, man, just to be on TV. And and there's no real, it's interesting. I don't know, man. It's not like, it's even like, I think I probably said that about us, my generation coming up. I remember the great comedian Bob Hope. Yeah. We had a mutual friend. His buddy was my friend. He was Bob Hope's doctor, and he said, "Yeah, Bob doesn't like Saturday Night Live. He just doesn't like these. You're too disrespectful." I remember that, but I don't remember saying, "Oh, he's an old bum" or something like that. I just understood it because it was generational, So it's like it's interesting to see. So, what's happening now and all the stuff that's happening now that kind of you don't understand. I think you just got to change with the times, I guess. But it is interesting though with the reality, all the reality stuff. Like, and what does that person do?
Oh yeah. Well, look at right there in your backyard, Jersey Shore. Look at those kind of people. And look, I don't want to rip them completely because look, they found something to be successful. They got big ratings. They got more money than I'll probably ever see in my life. But I mean, they're going out there just partying on the boardwalk and getting filmed, getting drunk, having sex. And I'm like, holy shit, where do I get this job? These people are, they're doing big things, I mean, it's crazy. What do you make of all that? You're a Jersey guy. What do you think about those kids?
I don't like to slam anybody. I don't like,
sure.
I don't like to slam anybody or anything like that. But it's like, what's upsetting about it is, I'm a proud Italian American, and we're all Americans first and foremost, and Americans in the greatest country in the United States of America. But when they start ripping up and acting like that as Italian Americans, that's embarrassing. That's like, gosh, come on. I know my father was a lawyer representing non-English speaking blue collar laborers who were ripped off by insurance companies. My uncle was a chemical engineer, who developed the nuclear program for the United States, in the Second World War. Come on, don't act like a Gabon. That's an Italian. That's a Gabon is it's like what you see on TV, and that's embarrassing. And I wrote the jokes about Jersey all those years ago. I wrote What Exit. That was my line.
Right.
I did that. Silly Jersey guy, for better or for worse. But you know what? I lived here. I paid taxes here. I never left here. I'm a Jersey guy, So don't bring somebody in from upstate New York, give her a fake, and then have her running around like that. That is disingenuous. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. But I don't besmirch those people. There's a great word. I don't hold anything against people, because they're young kids and they just want to make a living. And anybody's going to take the gig, I guess. But God, it's frustrating because the state is great. The Italian Americans are great. And they seem like nice people. But when my 14-year-old goes, oh yeah, I like to see Snooki, I'm going, oh my gosh. I said, please. This is not the role model that you want. God bless Snooki. Seems like a beautiful person. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Is she on the list for Joe, going out on the night on the town trying to pick up women? Is she somebody you try to pick up? Seriously. Serious question. If you saw, hold on, forget that she's a big time TV star. Let's just say she was just a regular ass girl hanging out at the bar. Is Joe going to approach somebody like that? Be honest.
No. God forgive me at the way with my face, man, and my age, not in a million years, man. I'd have to go. She's too old for me now, guy. Isn't she? How old is she? She's like 30 now?
Yeah, she's getting too old, man. We got to keep it, young 20s,
I can't mess with that, man. No, that's her. She's a nice gal. Lately, I don't know what it is. I mean, to your guy audience, it's like, because usually my second wife, the babysitter, was gorgeous, model type blonde, and that was like my MO, man. That was my wheelhouse, and that's always, it seems to be the dream American girl like that. But lately, I'm digging the brunettes and stuff. I don't know what it is, the brunettes, but kind of the a slim build like that's just usually I like more buxom. It's interesting how you change. I never thought I would change. I always thought you lock into one type of gal, like this one chick that I'm with now. She's kind of slender and different. So Snooki, God bless Snooki. Don't get me wrong. I have no right to say anything bad about anybody, and I don't want to. But not really my type.
Right. Did they ever get it right on that show? I mean, you probably partied at the Jersey Shore more than a couple of times. I mean, was that even close of a representation of what it's really like to go and have drinks at the Jersey Shore and stuff like that?
Oh, God, they're going to kill me in Jersey. And I love our good Governor Christie, and I don't mean to. But you know what? It's pretty darn close. Some of those towns is exactly what it was like. Was I there? No, I was never there, because most of the Jersey Shore are families. They're families on beautiful little beach houses, not mansions, these beautiful beach houses. And the beauty of the Jersey Shore is that we all come from different parts of Jersey. We go down there. It's kind of like a family reunion every weekend. Right. So we have all, your parents bought the house, man, and your neighbors across the street. I know people, my God, I know people for like decades. I know people, and my best friend, who I knew since I was 5 years old, from the Jersey Shore. All my boys, they were all Jewish guys from Philly, man. And to this day, we're all great buddies. So that's the real Jersey Shore, that brotherhood, that sisterhood, that family of New Jersey. That's in that close, ethnic bind of New Jersey that is so strong for the United States and the foundation of this country, really. So is there some of that Jersey Shore stuff down by Seaside Heights where I used to hang out as a child? But yeah, there is. I can't lie to you. I'd be lying to you if I said there wasn't. But it's not. Most of the shore is, and we got slammed in this hurricane, brother. I'll tell you what.
How you guys doing up there? Tell me a little bit about all that. How you guys doing up there now?
Well, I'll tell you, what was good was, the governor was, we had 3 days, when Sandy came in, and this is what's scary. Here's why they always talk about gun control, and we could be all over the place in the interview, but I got to tell you, they talk about gun control. There was a time, it was 3 days, that when Sandy hit, no one knew what was going on. Right. So then the gas lines started, and it was a state of emergency. It was, and I'm a father, and I was concerned. And for the first time, and I believe in all that gun regulation and everything like that, but for the first time, you start to think, I should probably have something more in the house. God forbid something happened. You understand that argument when people say you should, to protect your family. I mean, I'm sorry, that was so, I'll never forget that. And it totally changed my thinking as to how to protect my family, and what you could do. So that was scary. But then Governor Christie stepped up in a big way, and he was a great general. He saw what was happening. Houses were destroyed. There was no electricity. I'm out in the country. Transformers fell down, started fires, man. It was like the end of time. So I made sure my kids were okay, first and foremost. Yeah. And then all the power goes out. I wanted to make, and then I had to go on the road right after that. So I was very concerned. But Governor Christie said, okay, they started the rationing of the gas, so that was great, odds and evens, and that worked out. Then everybody starts asking for, Joe, will you help out and do this charity and help us? So I went down. Our area down the Jersey Shore was pretty much untouched, thank God, just some first floor damage. Yeah. So we were very lucky. But I saw some areas, to this day, as we speak, all these months later, no one is being helped. No one. It's like, and I could talk about it because I'm not running for office, man. Yeah. There's no money going to these people. The people are, this is the story. You go and you get a house when you're younger, and you start out, and you put, back then you could put under $100,000 down for a house. But the real estate values keep climbing and climbing, so you may have $1 million house, man. And what did you put into it? Nothing. You just kept the upkeep. It's your family base, though. It's your family home. Now Sandy comes in and wipes it out. FEMA comes in and goes, oh, here's $20,000. And you go, well, thanks, but it costs $75,000 to remove all the rubble from the house, man.
Yeah.
And then these companies come in and they go, well, was it wind or was it water? And you say, well, yes, it was both, man. I got a kid. Well, we don't cover either of those. The insurance companies ran like scared freaking rabbits, and no one. So we raise all these millions of dollars, and all I joked to one politician. I said, get a paper bag, like you guys used to take bribes in the old days. Get a paper bag, and bring it down to the people. Say, here's all this money. Rebuild your house. People are hurting, man, and the whole landscape. When I went down to look at the Jersey Shore, and I get kind of very energized talking about it, because I live there. I see the people, my Jersey people getting hurt like this. A cop pulled me over. I said, how you doing, man? Because these guys are up 24/7, the National Guard's been down there forever. So the cop said, Joe, the whole landscape will change. And those words reverberated to me. The whole landscape will change, which means people can't afford to rebuild. They're not getting the money to rebuild. So what do? They're going to have to sell out and sell their property at a margin of the cost, and then the outsiders will come in, and you'll be like a town that doesn't have any roots to it. Because the beauty of the Jersey Shore, despite what you see on the show, is really a bunch of families, a bunch of really, middle class and the families just trying to, stay in touch with each other and forming a nice community. It is. I'll tell you what, man, it's bad down there, and I don't have an answer, and I don't know why they're not being taken care of. It's so I don't want to go off on a tangent about Sandy, but I'm gonna tell you what, we're hurting, and it'd be nice, if the insurance companies, stepped up, said, you know what, we told you we'd cover you, we're going to cover you. Here we go. It'd be nice if the government came in and said, you know what, we understand this $20,000 is not enough. Here, let's get it here. Here's a low interest loan. So hopefully in the future all that stuff will come to fruition. But I know a lot of places down on the Jersey Shore are up and running, and they told me to say, they emailed me, they said, Joe, tell people the Jersey Shore is up and running. So if you're listening and you're down in Delaware, Philly, come to the Jersey Shore. We need you now more than ever, man. So get your butt down to the Jersey Shore, and hopefully in due time we'll be up and running 100%.
Yeah, every time I've been up to Jersey, man, it's been nothing but good stuff. I mean, I used to play in some bands and stuff like that, and, you come through, Jersey and stuff like that, and everybody was just so cool, man. Everybody's so nice. I'm actually coming back up that way at the end of the month for WrestleMania. They're going to be going up at the East Rutherford MetLife Stadium.
Oh, man, that's big time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, Joe. How far are you from East Rutherford, man? Let's go have dinner or something.
Come on, we'll get some young broads. I'm up for it, man. Come on. Don't tell your girlfriend to be listening. You'll be in trouble. I said, no, you know what? Yeah, I'm about an hour out. Give me a heads up. And where you going? Where are they playing? At the Izod Center?
No, they're playing MetLife. WrestleMania.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you, Joe.
Stadium? Oh my God, that's huge, man. Yeah, let me know, man. If I'm around, that would be a riot. That would be a riot to go. Jeez. Hey, some of those. I mean, I don't mean to take this whole interview down.
No, man, we're having a good time. Look, we don't have a format here, man. We just fly by the seat of our pants.
Some of the chicks that are in the wrestling thing, those are beautiful. Some of those girls are beautiful, man. You're right.
You watched the wrestling, Joe? You a wrestling guy?
No. I'm not really. I feel I should. I'm pretty much on everything, but I know. I think who's who. I think I know who's who and that sort of thing. Right. But I'm not. Sports wise, I'm an old traditionalist. I'm a baseball guy, kind of thing. So, but I know it's huge, and I know it's just the audience is like enormous, and I know those guys are in great shape. You got to work hard to do what they do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did you like that? Did you like the Mickey Rourke film, The Wrestler? Did you dig that film?
I loved it, man. I mean, it just shows, these guys, they're just like you, on the road all the time. I mean, their schedule is very hectic. I mean, they work over 300 days a year. They don't get to see their families. It's just one night to the next. They're taking painkiller cocktails to just go to sleep, to get up. and, you know, they're running their bodies crazy, and it's unfortunate, you know, but they're trying to make a living, and it's that high, and you would know about this because you're famous, it's that high that you get from performing for people, you know?
Yeah, it's a good point. It is. It's like an adrenaline kick for sure, you know, and the whole preparation to it. Yeah, and I thought that whole Mickey Rourke movie kind of epitomized that so well, and you know, on the dark side of it all. But you're right. You gotta. I was talking to my son about that, my young son about that. Is that you forget that these guys they have to train. They have to train. I mean, to be able to. You know, to put up with even the fake hits are painful.
Yeah, I mean they've got to get up. They got to do media for the day. They got to go to the arena, find out what their matches are. They got to fit gym time in. You know, then they got to perform on live television. I mean, it's unreal. I can't imagine what that's like. And I grew up as a kid. I'm like, oh man, I'd love to be in the WWF or WWE or whatever. You know, but I look at it now. You know, looking at it from a different eye, I'm like, man, there's no way. You know, and I'm out of shape. I'll be honest with you. I'm an out of shape kind of guy, and it's pathetic. And I want to make it right. But you know what? It's tough, man. It really is. For me, it is.
That's a bit of all that show business. So it's not just, you can't just be an athlete nowadays. You know, it's all showbiz oriented. You know, man, it's like you got to do all the ancillary around it, and it's all part of the package.
Yeah, it's one big package. So I got to tell you, Joe, man, you've been incredibly gracious with your time, and let's go ahead. Let's do a couple final plugs, you know, before we wrap this thing up. Let's make sure we get everybody to everything Joe Piscopo, where you're going to be, where they can get you, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, man. Fire away.
Oh, thanks, brother. You know what? Yeah, we'll go. I'll play with the Twitter stuff. Come on, I'm just getting into that now. So, you know, it's that Jersey Joe Piscopo, JRZY Piscopo, and then Facebook. You know, Joe Piscopo, me with the arms folded. That's my fan page. There's a fan page there, and I have a personal page. Sure, man, that'd be great. You check it out there. I was going to say, go to my website, but you know what? The ex-wife's lawyer they have saturated the website looking for when I'm playing where to see what money they could get. You know?
Sure. You got to kind of like hide where you're going to be. It's like, you know, guys, look for me. I'll be in Philly this, you know. Yeah.
In court, they sent my online schedule. Well, there's an authentic document. It's great because online, I mean, Elvis is alive and he's an alien. I mean, how could that hold up in court? But they don't care. So you're better off going to Facebook and certainly Twitter. We try to keep you up to date where we are. But I'll tell you what, guy, I appreciate it. It's great to talk to you, and I appreciate it because I had the time now, and the kids are all settled and with their mom, so everything's good. But I dig going on the road, man. I tell you, I dig it, and we invite everybody, no matter how old you are, to see. If you want to see a retro style live show, it's what we do. You know, it's just a whole different thing, and I'm proud of what we do. It's a lot of work. I won't lie to you, brother. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of rehearsal, but it's a lot of fun, and we invite every one of your listeners to come on out.
Absolutely. And we'll, you know, anytime I see you tweeting or Facebook, and I'll be sure to push it out there to my followers. And Joe, damn it, get your ass to DC, man. We got to hang or New Jersey, man. I'll come through there, man. You show me a night on the town, pal.
I may see you up there, see you in the Meadowlands, baby. You got it. That's funny. Listen, really, I enjoyed talking to you too, man. I didn't. We really kind of hit the gamut, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate all your time, Joe. And let's get you back anytime you got something to plug, man. You let me know. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, I appreciate it, my friend. God bless you, brother. I'll see you up there, brother.
All right, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.